Well, hello everyone. I am super excited to have Diana with me. She is the mama to 5 boys, and she is an Etsy shop owner and an in-home preschool teacher. I've been looking for one of those for a really long time, so I'm super excited to hear about everything. So welcome, Diana.
Thank you. Welcome. Or thank you.
So tell us a little bit about what you do and kind of how you got into it.
Okay. So my background is in education, obviously. I went to a university and got a teaching degree. I actually taught for, I have to count, it's been a while, taught for 6 years in the public education system. I taught kindergarten and I absolutely loved it. But I was basically wanting to get out as soon as my husband graduated, just because it's super time consuming and it's hard. And I had a 2-year-old at home and one on the way when I quit. So it was a perfect job for me. It gave me a ton of experience. And I'm grateful for my education, but I'm so glad that I have the flexibility of working at home now instead of being stuck to a schedule that somebody else set for me. So anyway.
That's super good. That's perfect. So tell us a little bit about how that transition came into play, and at what point you started selling. Was Etsy like your first move, or did you decide I'm gonna teach at home, or how did it all come together for you?
They kind of happened in tandem a little bit. Like I said, I taught full-time for a while, and then when my kids were young, I really just focused on them and I was blogging. But it was really more just for me. It was for fun. And I was teaching my kids at home. We didn't have a ton of money. And so it was an opportunity to use my skills to help them and then maybe share it, with the blogosphere. This was like a long time ago when everybody blogged. So that dates me a little, but then after that, I just got a push from a lot of friends that said, you should be selling your stuff. You're creative. Why don't you try it? And so I kind of got into doing like boutiques and local things, just dipping my toe in it really. And then a few years ago, I got the push that parents in my neighborhood wanted someone to teach preschool. And so I actually haven't been doing it for very long, like as a profession, just kind of doing it at home. But so then I decided to go ahead and do it and open up my home and started teaching preschool. But because I've taught for so long and I've been doing stuff with my kids, it was an easy transition and it didn't cost me a lot to do because I already had all the stuff that I needed to do it. And then my Etsy really is just an extension of my teaching. I sell busy bags and things to help kids, sensory toys and things like that. So they just sort of fit together well. And then on Instagram, I'm just, trying to reach out and help moms and teach. And anyway, so I kind of feel like I'm all over the place, but I'm honed in on early education. So.
Yeah, definitely. It sounds like that you really are in one specific niche and helping out. So let's start with, where do you get your ideas for all these creative things that you put together and sell? Is it something that you utilized when you taught kindergarten before, or is it something that you're just passionate about and you seek out and learn about?
Yeah, a little bit of both. Definitely having the background of teaching, I kind of know where kids need to be by the time they start school. And so that's always in the back of my mind. I know like what the pre-skills are. And so that helps a lot. And then a lot of stuff that I do is just things that I found like on Pinterest and the internet, just being active in that community, the internet community for teachers. And then I just get ideas. Sometimes you see something and you think, oh, I like that, but it doesn't really fit with, whatever. And then I just go it. But really, I feel like my education helped a lot because I understand why things are successful. Like I have that foundation. And then it makes it really easy for me to be creative with it. Because I know how the pieces are supposed to fit together, if that makes sense. So
that's perfect.
Yeah.
So, what is technically required to teach preschool out of a home? I know it could differ from state to state, but
Mhm.
in your state, what's required?
Yeah, so my state, to be just an in-home preschool, as long as your numbers are under 8 children, you're basically an in-home like daycare provider is how the state says it
Okay.
is. So I don't have to really do a lot of formal stuff, but it does limit me. I can
Yeah.
only have a small amount of kids. But for me, that fit perfect because I have a small home. My son was going to be in the class. So it made sense. But there's definitely things you can do, like licensing wise, where you can do a bigger in home preschool. But there's more hoops to jump through. But it's pretty easy to start. If you want to be little like that, you really don't need a lot of training or a lot of background, as long as you keep it small. So,
Okay, perfect. So, a teaching degree is not necessary, but it sounds like from your end, it's recommended. It's helped you tremendously to be a better teacher, a better educator, and
yeah,
probably a good
absolutely.
way to go.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. And is that just like standard 4 years to get a degree in education these days? Has that changed?
Yeah, no, I think it's still, I'm pretty sure it's still in. If you want to be in early childhood, I know at least in my state, I live in Arizona, you have to have an early childhood endorsement where you have to do you have to have some extra experience with young children.
Okay.
But because when I taught for so long and I taught early childhood, I didn't have to go through all of those extra steps. But you can build it into a 4-year degree and like emphasize in it, and then you can like get that endorsement. So it's not too difficult to do. So, but people that have a natural um, understanding of kids and a desire to learn, there's so much out there on the internet. You really, I mean, I don't want to discourage people that like don't have a degree
Right.
not to try it, but I definitely feel like it's an advantage and it's helped me. So
That's good advice. I like that. And because not all of the mom first career interviews that I've done really have needed a formal education
mhm.
in a university or college, but there's always some type of learning that has to be done. Being a
Right,
lifelong learner is so helpful. So it's
right,
kind of nice just to kind of see what those options are to
right.
know. So, the girls can plan and just kind of see what works for them and what they would want to do. So it wasn't a huge investment. Um, how did you know like how much to charge, how long you wanted to hold each preschool session? Is it a couple days a week? Give us a little bit about that.
Um, it can vary quite a bit. I just asked friends. I had a lot of friends that had their kids in in-home daycare situations or in in-home preschools. And so I kind of found out what the standard going rate was, and I went ahead and went right at that, like not the very highest level, but like right in the high middle because I'm an educator.
Right.
It was an advantage. So, and I chose to do only 2 days a week for especially for younger kids. They just need to dip their toes in it. They don't need massive structure. They just need the socialization and practice. So
Mhm.
I do Tuesdays and Thursdays, and I teach for 2.5 hours.
Okay.
And then with older kids, I've done 3 days a week. So I'll do Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and the same 2.5 hour blocks. So, which is nice if you don't have like huge numbers, you can have all those same kids on Tuesday and Thursday, and then just have your older kids on Wednesday. And then I do higher level stuff with them to get them ready for kindergarten that
Mhm.
maybe I wouldn't necessarily do when I have the younger kids involved, if that makes sense. That kind of helps. That helped me to get a broader reach so that I had a fuller class in order to do that. So,
Got it. And with the smaller size class in your situation, marketing is probably not even an issue. You
no, it's
probably,
really not.
yeah, and I'm sure by word of mouth and things like that, you'll keep a full class as you continue on in doing that. But what has been successful for you with your Etsy shop in terms of marketing and getting out there, has Instagram been your main platform for sharing what you're doing, or have you chose other ways as well?
Yeah, Instagram for now has been really good. I'm on Facebook, but it's really my market for the women that I'm trying to connect with, they're young moms, and most of the young moms are on Instagram. So it makes sense for me to be there. I'm trying to set my website up and I'm not there yet, but that's another great place because I know a lot of people are looking for ideas, and so they're going to go to Pinterest.
Yes.
And so a website is a really smart thing if you're in anything with early childhood too, because that's another really great place where people are looking for ideas and can find my products and things. So
So
yeah.
how long has your Etsy shop been up and running?
I'm trying to think. I think I opened it up in, I want to say 2016, somewhere around there, about 4 years, 4 years.
Okay. Okay,
So
so you've been
not
doing
really.
it for a while now.
Yeah.
Um, about how many hours per day do you spend on your businesses, and how do you structure that with the kids at home? I know in most instances the kids are a little bit older maybe and are at school, so it's easier to juggle that. But on a normal typical day, how would that look?
On a normal no COVID day,
Yeah.
usually I like to plan in themes. So I go by month. So I usually take like a good chunk of, like, say a Monday all morning. And my youngest, again, he's 5. So
Okay.
I could put him, in the afternoon and have him happy and doing something. And then I could spend a good 4 or 5 hours like mapping out my month and kind of filling in. And then I can just take a couple hours, throughout the rest of the week, getting stuff ready and like making copies. And then I teach for about 5 hours a week. So I would say it's like a good part-time,
Yeah.
20 hours when it's really intensive. For me, I don't always have to do so much, but again, that's just because I have background and I've done it before. So
Mm-hmm.
it's really easy for me to like pull out my files and plug things in. For somebody starting out, it would definitely be a full-time job. I mean, you would need to be like teaching in the morning and then doing planning in the afternoon, and kind of take, quite a big chunk of time to do that. So yeah, sometimes people think it's really easy just to teach
Right.
preschool,
Right.
that it's intuitive, but if you're really trying to like, see that progress and stuff with your
Mm-hmm.
kids, you're going to have to put in a lot of thought work, especially at the beginning.
So how long do you think that transition will take? So if there's a mom out there that really wants a part-time job, is really
Mhm.
interested in teaching, knowing that it's going to be a lot of full-time effort right at the beginning, at what
Mhm.
point do you think she can transition to a lighter schedule?
I think it would take a good at least 2 years, I would
Okay.
say. I think it's pretty similar to like a traditional educator.
Mm-hmm.
Your first year, you're really just trying to figure out how everything works, and you're doing your best with what you have.
Right.
And then the next year, you're really trying to like build on that. And then I think after that, it gets easier. I would say too, like if someone came to me and asked what to do to start a preschool, I would probably recommend, if they have the resources, to order. There's a lot of really great companies out there that have like pre-structured preschool
Okay.
things that you can buy. And so like they would send you the supplies and the lesson plans for the whole year. It is a little more costly in the beginning to do it that way, but for somebody that maybe doesn't have confidence in being able to like build a curriculum on their own, that's a really good place to start. Just doing a good, web search about, in-home preschool subscriptions or something
Mm-hmm.
like that. Sometimes that helps, just give you an idea of how to start it. And then they wouldn't even necessarily have to keep using the program like in the next few years, but maybe that's just something that helps guide them.
Yeah.
So that's another really good option if someone's feeling overwhelmed, but they feel like they really want to do it. And maybe they don't have like a person that can help mentor them.
Mm-hmm.
There are some good companies out there that can supply preschool stuff. So
That's really great to know. And
yeah.
the thought came to me while you were talking as well, is that if a teen's watching this and is preparing, if she decides to go to college and maybe wants to jump straight into this afterwards, she would have the time to put all, work 40 hours a week or whatever
Oh
she
yeah.
needs to do until she starts her family. And then she would be able to come back. So there's definitely some options there, which is good, is exciting. So what is your advice for like-minded teens to know if this would be a good fit for them?
I would say you have to really love kids. I mean, not just like love your siblings or love your nieces and nephews. Like it's not the most glamorous job, and it doesn't, like, to be perfectly honest, it's not going to be like the best paid job. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, you can make a living and you can take care of a family on a teacher salary or a preschool salary, but um babysitting is great, especially for like the really young teenagers. Like when I was doing that, like I like to play games with the kids and,
Mm-hmm.
like make a babysitter kit. And like that's a really great way to like practice, and the parents will love you
Yes.
a ton if you're willing to put in that effort and not just
Mm-hmm.
turn on the movie.
Right.
Um, I know locally we have a really great preschool program at the high schools. I think it's in more than one site. And a lot of the teachers' kids a lot of teachers send their children to it. It's called Toy Box in my area.
Mm-hmm.
But you can sign up as a teenager at the high school to help in that class. That's like one of their classes that they can take. And so they get really great hands-on practice doing that with a licensed, really experienced teacher. Like I would say if there's any opportunity like that out there, if you've got young girls that are already interested in it, if you have something like that, totally take advantage of it. That would be a really great way to see if it's for you, and earn high school credit doing it. Um, yeah, and even community colleges, they've got classes and things too that you can do and learn. That
So
I would definitely do that.
do you think it would be just a red flag if babysitting's not your thing?
Oh,
Yeah, just if babysitting's not your thing at a young age, then you know that this is not the route for you. But
yeah,
all three of my girls are teenagers right now, and none of them really, really love to babysit, but they have a friend and she just loves babysitting and would do it all day long. So I'm
right.
thinking that might be the ideal candidate for this job.
Well, and too, when you're young and you're a teenager, sometimes you don't have the same patience as you do
Yeah.
when you're older. And there's definitely something to be said for gaining maturity, and maybe it still is something that you're interested in. But yeah, that's funny. But it is. I really feel like teaching, especially young kids, it's a calling. You just know. I
Yeah.
knew from an early age, very early age, this is where I wanted to be. Little people are my people. Like,
Yeah.
you just own it. It's
And
great.
that's great too. And we love people like you. For some of us, I'm starting to love little people a little bit more now that my kids are growing up, but I got a little like burned out when they were little
Yeah.
altogether. But
Yeah.
we just love people like you and we need people like you. So I think that's awesome that you knew that that was your calling and what you needed to do. So tell us what the hardest parts of your job are and what the easiest, most favorite parts of your job are.
Okay. Oh, I was going to say one more thing. I hope you don't mind.
No.
Thinking about teenagers, when I was younger, a teenager, we did like a fun summer camp for kids. That would be another really great way to see if it's a good fit for you, because it's just fun. We would just do like a theme and have like a water day and play games and, like not really school, but
Yeah.
that was another really fun way. And it was a great way to earn money.
Ooh, I like that. That's a
Yeah.
perfect idea. Perfect.
So,
Glad you added that in.
that came to me and I'm like, oh, that's a good one.
Yeah.
Okay. Say your question again. I'm sorry.
So tell us just the hardest and least favorite parts of your job and the parts that you just really, really love.
Okay. I it is hard dealing with money, especially when like a lot of my students are like friends.
Mm-hmm.
And if they forget to pay you, sometimes that's really awkward,
Yes.
dealing with that. I also, because I kind of have more than one business, I do have a really good accountant to help with that because the bookkeeping can get overwhelming
Yeah.
trying to keep track of your expenses and all of that. That's probably not my favorite. But I like the planning. I like the curriculum, trying to find new ideas. Obviously, my favorite thing is working with the kids and seeing them grow. I think that was the hardest thing about COVID, is that we had to end our year right at that point where they were like just starting to have this really tremendous growth.
Mm-hmm.
Seeing that is really fun. The other thing that's hard is the beginning of the year is always really hard because it's tons of training and it feels really tedious.
Mm-hmm.
Like you feel like you're a broken record player and you have to keep like retraining. And so just knowing that like at the beginning it's a lot harder, and as the year progresses it gets a lot more fun. So if you're discouraged in the beginning, just know it's not always going to be like that. It gets better. So
I like that. So are there a lot of supply costs that come throughout the year in all the little art projects and things that you guys do?
there can be. If you're not careful, you can definitely spend a ton of money. Like I said, I'm lucky because I taught for so many years and I still had my materials and things, so I
Uh-huh.
reuse a ton.
Okay.
But I do, in order to kind of help with that, at the beginning of the year when parents sign on, they pay a supply fee. And
Okay.
so I charge like an extra, I think it's $25 that's on top of their monthly tuition. And I also ask for the money at the beginning of the month.
Mm-hmm.
And then that way I have money to play with and buy everything when it's on sale, because it's so much easier to buy everything when, back to school sales are going on. And then I can just purchase in bulk. So it's not really bad if you set it up like that. It kind of offsets that daily. And then I do like an ink subscription, so I can print a ton of stuff at home, and it doesn't cost me very much. Having a laminator at home is a really inexpensive option to like make my own games, and do things affordably. But yeah, I think just having a budget so I can say like I'm going to spend,
Mm-hmm.
$20 this month to get things that I really think my kids are going to love and enjoy. And then I try and stay to that. And then that way you don't end up, eating all your profits really
Yeah,
fast.
so you can stay profitable.
Yeah.
Um, so most of the things that you sell on Etsy, are they things that you make at home and then you sell pre-made?
Yeah.
Do you ever pull your boys into the process of making stuff
Yeah,
with you? Or are they
definitely.
like, no way, mom?
I've tried to do more of it lately because I felt like I wanted them involved. So I mean, when I'm doing events and stuff, like they're tagging and they're helping me
Nice.
box and they're helping me lug, tables and set up. That yeah, I do, and it's really fun. So, when we're making a new Play-Doh kit or something, I'll ask them what themes they think kids like, and kind of have them help me with that. Some of them can sew, some of them can cut.
Nice.
So it's fun. Sometimes it's a struggle because, they're boys,
Yeah.
but, it's fun. And we try and reiterate, this is a family business. And if the business is profitable, then we can share those profits with you.
Yes.
And that's motivating. So,
I like that. That's great advice. So all the information that you've provided so far has been so great. Absolutely perfect. As we wrap up, is there anything that you would like to leave with the listeners today before we stop our video?
I'm trying to think. Yeah, I really just think it comes down to like, if you love working with kids, if it's in your heart, just do it. And I'm kind of like I'm like an older mompreneur, if you want to say that. Like it took me a long time to have the confidence to like
Yeah.
turn what I love and what I do into a business.
Yeah.
And for me, the timing was right. Like I
Yeah.
needed to just focus on my kids when they were younger. And that was perfectly fine. And I know other women that, start right off the bat, like you said, maybe right when you graduate, you don't have kids yet, and you can really, hone in on that. So not to be afraid of letting your mompreneur path
Yeah.
kind of weave, like that kind of makes it fun. I didn't think that I was gonna be doing boutiques and teaching preschool at the same time. Feels kind of crazy, but it works. And my kids are older and they can be part of it. So
Yeah.
I think that's fun. I love that you interview so many different people, and yeah, that like the world's wide open. Like you just find what you're good at and what you love, and just don't be afraid to let the path meander.
Yeah, for sure. And I think for some people it does, and for other people it doesn't. And it's kind of interesting that it happens that way. But I think that if you add a little prayer in the journey and
Absolutely.
you really strive to make yourself a better person, build those talents, and explore opportunities, then it will fall into place for you.
Mhm.
I'm one of those late bloomers myself. My road has been really crazy rocky, which is kind of what inspired me to do this. I wanted to do something for my teenage girls and
Yeah.
provide them with something that would help them. But it's been so fun because there's so many amazing moms out there like you. And from me listening in to what you have to say, it sounds super fun. Boutiques
Mhm.
and home preschool, like it does just sound like a wonderful career that you've pulled together for yourself. And it also allows you to be an amazing mom, which is
Yeah.
awesome. So I just want to say, good job. You've done a
Well,
really,
thank you.
really great job. And thank you so, so much for sharing your experience with my audience today. I appreciate it so
Oh,
much. And we'll link down if so everyone knows where your Etsy store is and they can kind of tag along and follow your Instagram as well, because you're posting
mhm.
so much helpful information all the time. And
Thank
so
you.
it'll be great for anyone who wants to learn more about it.
All right. Thank you.
All right. Thanks, everyone. Bye bye.